We are live. Once again, Steel Storzinger, and wearing her funky eyewear. But we do have some interesting things to talk about tonight. It's going to be a short show, but Anne has finally decided to take my advice and finally self-publish her sci-fi novel, previously known as Life, Lyfe, and it's going to be titled what is it? What's the exact title again? The working title?
Electra's Revenge.
Electra's Revenge. Now, I read a version of this when I don't know which version it was you sent me years ago.
Years ago.
So anyway, so that's going to be so. Talk about that a little bit.
First, can I just remark that the tragedy of the commons is nowhere so apparent as in a common bathroom. Jesus Christ.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
You know, I'm still kind of camping around other people, and my God, you know, they talk about people being high on their own farts, but these days, I swear to God, people are high on their own urine, shit, tampons, sweat. Basically, people think that everything that comes out of their bodies is fucking liquid gold.
If only that was true.
Yeah, we'd all be in the black if it were, but alas, it's just smelly and disease spread. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always freaked me out as like one of the things that really grosses me out of homosexuality is they like to do it in public restrooms. And I can't think of a less erotic place than a public toilet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that sex doesn't go with
toilet. What's that?
No, sex and public toilets do not, in my mind, they're polar opposites. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Coincidentally, there is a kissing in a public toilet scene in Electra's Revenge, and Electra, the titular character. She does have tits, yes, is just grossed out by it, but she's trying to go along with it because she's spent like half of her salary for the week buying someone else drugs to try to have sex with them, and they want to make out in the bathroom because they're an immortal and they're slumming, and she's just like, oh God, ugh. Like, women are supposed to be these beautiful, sexy goddesses, but I'm surrounded by fucking dirty tampons. Do I have to do this?
Nasty.
Yeah.
That sounds even grosser than the porn set.
Yeah, this may be one of the most disgusting, deliberately, humorously disgusting science fiction novels ever written.
Yes. Actually, I don't know that genre very well. I'll be honest with you. Science fiction is not my thing usually. I mean, I guess a few exceptions here and there, but
you know, I can't blame you for that because it's a cliche to say it even, but there's so much of it that just sucks, and even like golden age science fiction sucks. I picked up an Arthur C. Clarke book the other week just because it was there, and I was like, this shit has not aged well. A friend of mine was complaining about him on Facebook the other day in honor of there was some fake holiday celebrating science fiction. And he was saying Arthur C. Clarke was kind of a pedophile. And I was reading this book and I was like, yeah, like the vague pedophilia is one of the things from the 60s that didn't age well in this book. But everybody's a fucking hippie and they're swingers and they're obviously going to be terrible parents. And it takes them like half the book to figure out that these creatures that are building plantations and cities and are creative and get annoyed are sentient beings. Like, yep, they're probably sentient beings then. And also, quit looking at little boys' asses.
Yes, that's important. I thought this almost sounded like a novel about Catholic priests. But that would be gay priests in outer space. How about that? Well, that's redundant, right? Gay priests. I mean, just say priests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gay priests in outer space. That'll be the title of Becklaw's next show. But the oh, I don't really have. I'm not really anti-Catholic because I'm a Protestant or something like that. Like some people, I just I just think that a lot of priests are well, most priests are either gay and pedophiles, I think half priests are gay pedophiles, and the other ones are and the other half are just gay.
Well, I love the Catholic aesthetic that I was raised with, but there's an intrinsic humor in people talking about being holy while raping children. I mean, it's sick humor, but you gotta admit it's funny.
Well, I know, like your best friend, the one that passed. Like I know you. I think she didn't want you to ever share some of the stuff that she said, but they at least liked. Well, I don't know exactly, and be
They liked kinky shit with women, all right.
They did like women, though.
Yeah.
These ones that she was,
Yeah. My best friend, now deceased, did some sex work, and some of it was apparently in the Vatican when she was living in Italy, and it was juicy.
Man, if she wrote a book, that would have been something.
Man, she wrote so much, but she wrote about so much minutia. It kind of drove me nuts because she had this amazing life story, but she would bury it in like letter after letter after chain email after chain email after blog post after zine article about like just what she ate that day and how her bus trip went. And sometimes that shit can be funny, but it's like, dude, tell us about the perverted priests already.
Yeah, skip ahead. It's like, did you ever read, I don't know if you ever read Anne Rice?
When I was very young.
Yeah, I mean, I read a couple of her books because it's like, I don't know, well, you probably would never make this mistake, but I did all the time where I forget to bring a book with me on a flight. I used to fly a lot in the 90s, and a lot. And so a lot of times I would just pick up a book at that little airport gift shop. They only have like 10 books to choose from.
Oh, that's not bad, but like being on the airplane with no books at all, like I have recurring nightmares about that shit.
Yeah, if you're on well, now it's better though. Now like they have like movies to watch and shit like that. But back then, if you didn't have a book, you were shit out of luck.
Yeah, you'd better hope your ass can fall asleep, because otherwise you're going to be staring at the back of a seat for 10 hours.
Yeah, you go insane. Like you're stuck in a tube for a long, and some of my flights were long, like New York to Seattle. But what was I going to say? The reason I brought that up was Anne Rice. If I don't know if you remember it, but she would take about 3 chapters for someone to finish like a cup of coffee. Yeah.
See, the good thing about Anne Rice is she's one of those authors that's really good to read when you're an early adolescent and you're having sexual feelings, but you don't quite know what sex is yet.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of like I think I only read 2 of her novels. I read the Interview with the Vampire. And I read the other one. What was the other one where he gets to go to heaven, like he meets the devil and
something about a mummy? No, that was a later one. That was one of the really bad later ones.
But anyway, I just remember like it like there was a lot of homoerotic type of stuff with the vampires because they didn't have sex, but there was a lot of homo-esque type of things, and I understood like she was a real freak and actually wrote a lot of degenerate erotica under a different name.
Ooh.
Yeah, she had a different pen name to write like the smut.
she just put the like repressed pre-adolescent smut into the vampire books.
Well, that was for her, she wanted that to be that was her mainstream stuff. And also it was vampire fiction. It wasn't supposed to be erotic in itself. It was supposed to be, understanding the character. You're supposed to empathize with the vampire's point of view.
Right, but it's almost impossible to write a vampire story without erotic overtones. I mean, you're putting your mouth on somebody's neck and playing with death. there's always something erotic about that.
Yes, that's actually one of the what they call signs that a woman is interested in you if she exposes her neck when talking to you. I'm not kidding.
like, hey, how you doing? Nice weather we're having. Or is it not that obvious?
Well, it's not that obvious. It's more like the head tilt to one side, like showing the neck.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's women do it unconsciously.
Okay, I thought that was what dogs do when they are going to allow you to kill them.
Why would a dog allow anyone?
Well, you know, when like a wolf wants to show submission to another wolf.
Oh no, they don't expose their neck. They make themselves small. They'll get down and they'll cower, similar to humans. They'll, you know.
Yeah, kind of a general mammal thing. So,
you don't look like any sort of wild animal or just whatever. You don't look them directly in the eye because that's a sign of aggression.
Right.
So.
Right. That's how I pissed that squirrel off that bad the other day. I stared right at the little bastard.
Stared right at him. Yeah. I don't know if the squirrels have. Well, I shouldn't have said this. You'll take offense. I don't know if squirrels have that much a developed brain, but you would bet different. You think squirrels are the cat's meow?
Yeah, well, yeah, squirrels are on the verge of space travel as we speak.
Oh no, squirrels are.
They're gonna be flying around with the gay priests.
Oh, I got this funny squirrel story, right? So where I live, there's like it's weird. There's like this lawn. I live in a condo, but there's this big lawn, and it's shared just by me and my neighbor. We're the only people who have access to it. And my neighbor is this Filipino woman that just loves gardening, and she actually just turned the lawn almost into her own private garden. And I mean, spends a fortune. In the summer, she'll spend like hours out there dicking around with it. And but anyway, she was telling me about this squirrel that was digging up the bulbs. I guess they eat them. I don't know. And like, you know, she would collect the bulb, I guess, so she don't have to buy new whatever. And I don't know dick about horticulture, right?
This is starting to sound like an Elmer Fudd cartoon.
So so I have my blinds open and I'm looking out at the lawn. You know, it's a nice, beautiful summer day. And all of a sudden I see her with the broom. Well, first I see like the squirrel like run. Well, I heard yelling and I look and I see a squirrel running. And then like a half a second later, I see her running after the squirrel with the broom screaming. I mean, she was out for blood, man. I mean, she wanted that poor little guy dead, man.
Man, that's quite a coincidence. I was just talking about how a certain batshit insane mutual acquaintance of ours was having a violent argument with my cat because he's a pathetic specimen of humanity. But you know, as
which cat?
Oedipus. When I had typhus and I couldn't move to defend her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that hurt me and made me angry. But you know, it's one of those things that's horrible. But you have to admit, it's funny to see a grown human being reduced to a fit of rage at a small mammal.
Yeah, that's funny. But you know, then again,
especially when as small as a squirrel.
Oh yeah, she was enraged. I mean, she was, you know. And then he went like, and I remember like I was trimming the tree branches. We have like trees around that come in, and she's like, and I was just getting a few. There was a few. I was just clipping the what do you call it? The pine tree things because the cones kept coming down on my deck. And she's like, "Oh, clip these ones here. That's what the squirrel uses to jump into the lawn." And you know, and she's like, "No, and this one too, and this one." It's like that's not going to stop the fucking squirrel. He's just going to go around, you know.
Oh my God! Speaking of squirrels, I just looked at my phone and realized how bad I need a haircut.
No, it's a fashion statement. Deal with it.
I fucking look like a squirrel. Oh well. Say
Grow
the
your hair
fee.
long. Long hair, is sexy on women.
I do have my hair long. It's in a braid right now.
Okay.
Those are my bangs sticking up. Like
Oh,
that's
okay,
just
yeah.
that's just the one short section of my hair that I cut out so I can see, so that I don't look like fucking Cousin It.
Speaking of hair, I realized I'm starting to go a little bit bald on my crown.
You know, you could have 4 heads for all I fucking know.
Well, no, I only have one. Well, 2 if you want to get sexy. But,
Do you have hair on both of them still?
well, I mean, yeah. Well, on it, around it, on it. Hey, did you ever see those people? I don't know what. There's actually a condition where they call it like the Wolfman disease or something like that, where they grow hair, like real serious hair everywhere, like on their face and everywhere.
Palms of the hands.
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't know about the palms, but like they grow, they're like apes, and like
Wow.
it's really, they're like real people. I don't know what the actual name of that condition is. It's a genetic thing.
Mediterraneans.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Italians. No. Yes.
My cousin was posting like this map of human body hair in the world, and it, because he was trying to defend his own hairy back, and it basically just radiates out from the Mediterranean. Like the epicenter is right in the middle of the sea, and it just radiates from there.
Well, I don't know if I ever told you this story. I used to have this neighbor, right? And a lot of ways I used to be jealous of this guy because this guy used to get mad pussy. I mean, he was good looking. The only way I could compare is like a young Pierce Brosnan. That's what he looked like. And he was like about 6'1", 6'2", and he had a Southern accent because he was from like Louisiana, Arkansas, one of those places. And he was good looking. He's getting mad, and he was a salesman, of course, because and he made serious bank. And then one day I was over his place because he lived like right next to me, and he was in a wife beater, and I saw all the hair like on his back, and I was like, I no longer feel envious of this fucking guy. That is disgusting. I was like, oh man, that is nasty. I mean, because I know like those like chicks that he would meet, and like, because right, I mean that freaks chicks out, right? I mean, some chicks like some hair, but not on your back.
Yeah, just excessive any kind of, well, hair in your head is fine, but like the excessive facial hair and that food gets stuck in and back hair, yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some women out there that have a weird fetish for that, but generally, well, another thing I don't shave my fucking chest. I mean, I don't, fuck that.
Well, as long as you don't wear 5 gold chains in it and have your shirt open, I think you're good.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I got hair on my chest. I'm not going to shave it. I'm proud of that. Hair on the chest. I mean, now everybody shaves their fucking guys shaving their. The only things guys should shave is their face or their head. I mean, that's it. I mean,
yeah, it's like everybody thinks they're a world champion swimmer now.
Yeah, like, well, I remember. What do you call it? Cyclists used to. I had a really good friend in was high school or college, whatever, and he was really big into cycling, and he used to shave his legs because it was something about the, cyclists. If you're a cyclist, you wipe out all the time. It just happens, and you don't want to have hair because the cuts or something like what do they call it, road rash or.
Holy shit, I gotta quit looking at my phone. I look like Trigglypuff right now. I've got like 4 jackets on, problem glasses, and my hair is like Archie Andrews.
What a fucking creature that was.
Oh, God.
What about the other one? Actually, I think you look more like is Smugglypuff right now. I don't know whatever happened to her.
Oh, yes. I don't really remember what she looks like, but I look like some kind of fruitcake. I really need a haircut. I was wearing goofy cat's eye glasses long before they were known as problem glasses. And all of a sudden, it's yet another one of those things where I just keep doing my thing and the world always catches up to me in some fucked up way. Like all of a sudden, everybody's wearing the glasses that I've been wearing since 1992, except now they're all crazy people who are wearing these glasses to indicate to other crazy people that they're similarly insane.
Now, hold on a second. What's up, Dashing Rogue? Peace, brother. How you doing? He's
What's
listening to us. You got a question? Ask it in there.
Come me by. If he wants to know where I get my glasses, I got them from I got them from up Smugly Puff's cooch. All sorts of shit falls out of there.
Nasty. Yeah. Smugly, yeah. I don't know if you remember, there used to be a Saturday Night Live character called Pat, and it was this.
Oh yeah.
That's what Smugly Puff reminded me of. Like, you can't. Is it a man, a woman, or is you just trying to figure out what it is?
Oh my God! Could you imagine if Saturday Night Live had a character like Pat now? They'd have like flaming cauldrons of oil being tossed into their offices.
Yeah, I mean that sucks. I mean, like what's come to the state of humor? You can't make. You can't say anything. What do you call outrage culture? Whatever. I think you called it cancel culture. Was that you who said that? Something like that? Or
I didn't make that up. That's been going around.
Yeah, I'm not. All the phrases these kids use these days. I'm not up on them all. But in Seattle today,
cancel culture is like when you say, "Oh, Dave Chappelle made a joke about trans people, so he's canceled. His career's over," which of course completely backfired. He's more popular than ever, but.
Yeah, well, I think like the best defense, like if as long as you're fucking funny, like when he did like the Juicy Smollett thing, like you could see all the black people in the audience not want to laugh but couldn't help it. You know what I mean? Like you could see them; they were going like, "I shouldn't laugh at this, but it's so fucking funny, I can't stop," because it was clever. It was clever shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was almost a embarrassment reaction. Like if you're a white person and Donald Trump does something stupid, it's like, fuck.
Well, yeah, like there was this clip. I don't know if YouTube's probably taken it down, but it was you never watched this shit, but it was like like on network TV, like when there's a basketball game, they have like former basketball players and they critique the game at halftime and shit like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't watch that. Really watch that, but I saw the clip, and it like with Shaquille O'Neal. I know him because he's been in. Everybody knows Shaquille O'Neal from a lot of different things, and some other black former basketball player, and there was this white dude that was just a sports host, and somehow the Juicy Smollett thing came up. And the two black dudes like, dude, man, everybody knows, man. You don't go pay it. You don't use a credit card, man. You pay cash when you buy stuff for your crime, And they're both like cracking each other up, like to the point where they can't talk. They're laughing so hard, they're crying. And the white dude, the regular announcer, he keeps trying to bring it back to talking about the game, the basketball game, but they won't let him. They won't let it go. They just keep making fun of Juicy. And they just keep going, and you can see the white dude just feeling so awkward. Like
and of course, his awkwardness made it 10 times funnier.
Yeah, because he keeps trying to steer it back, but they're like, "Dude, it's on video, man." He goes, "And the two brothers buy with a credit card." It's like,
I mean, where do you start with what that guy did wrong? I mean,
I'd start with the name that his parents gave him. I don't know.
I just keep saying this is a classic example of why you don't let actors write. I mean, down to stupid details like, there's I think it was body cam footage of a police officer interviewing him in his apartment or his hotel room or whatever it was afterwards, and he's wearing this immaculate white ski sweater. Like, okay, so you got beat up.
Invite the officer for out on a date or something, because he goes that
way. But he supposedly got beat up, but his white sweater is perfectly spotless.
Yeah, it was like what Dave Chappelle was doing in person, imitating the police. Like, can you imagine the cops that showed up for that scene? I was like, well, and to steer it back to you for a second, like we laugh at this now. But I remember, like, when that shit like that happened, you were fucking pissed.
Oh, I was mad.
You were like, you were fucking pissed off. Like they said it, they devoted an entire fucking task force to this imaginary crime. And meanwhile, you would have fucking flee the city because your rapist was still fucking out there, man.
Yeah, I can laugh about it now. I'm gonna go to bed and cry about it later.
Well, now it's in the past, and they caught the fucker that did, and he's been exposed for for what he is. Though I don't know if you keep up with Chicago news. I don't, but actually, this is national. But first, he got off. Like there was something where they weren't going to prosecute him. Like some ties to Hillary or Michelle Obama. I forget what.
Probably both.
Someone knew the politics of Chicago. I forget who it was talking about this.
It might have been me because Kim Foxx is the what do you call it? The prosecutor or the DA in Chicago.
Yeah, district attorney. Yeah.
Yeah, and she is notorious for. I mean, the guy who raped me should have been in prison before he ever did it. Like he shouldn't have been on the street. He had broken into so many people's houses. A rap sheet a mile long, but she was notorious for just doing what she could to let people go. I don't know if she was trying to make a political statement or save money and space in the prisons, but after the Jussie Smollett case, not just the downtown Chicago police, but every police department in Cook County gave her a vote of no confidence. Like it was, one of the new Star Wars, and she was the Emperor of the Senate or whatever they called him.
Oh yeah, the Admiral SJW or whatever they called her. Yeah, yeah, the blue. Yeah, well, that's still a stupid Star Wars movie where that was really
like where they had the sort of CGI background where there's all these intergalactic senators in layers, going on to infinity, and they're, doing a no confidence vote. That's basically what happened in the Cook County legal system because she was just letting violent criminals back on she had a catch and release program going, basically. She probably still does, but she got involved with Jussie Smollett's case and initially got the city's case against him for basically wasting their time and money. She got that dismissed for some spurious reason, but it came back. I haven't followed the last couple of twists in the story.
Oh, Beckloff just chimed in. He goes, "Fucking Batman couldn't clean up Chicago."
Yeah, well, Kim Foxx, you are no Batman.
He says, "What are you talking about? They haven't made a Star Wars movie since 1983. You can't convince me otherwise." Amen, brother. But
I don't know. Yeah. Even those Ewoks might have been a little fishy.
Yeah, What was?
Although I did love that movie.
I liked the first Star Wars. I really liked the first one. That which would be Episode 4, I guess.
Yeah, I lose track of where they are on the timeline, but I loved those movies when I was a kid, and you know what? I've kind of forced myself to enjoy all the new ones as best I can.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of power. I just I think
sometimes it took sneaking vodka into the theater, but
yeah, I don't really go to movies anymore, which is sad because I used to be a huge guy that went to films all the time as a kid. I don't go. Well, first I don't like paying fucking $15 for the fucking ticket, and then then they at the concession stand it costs you a fucking kidney to buy fucking some popcorn and a soda. So
yeah, well, that's why you eat and drink before you go into the movie, genius.
Yeah, but I always I'll go to movies like once every 2 years, and that's about how often I go. About once every 2 years. If the last time I was in a theater was to see a documentary that was The Red Pill, and that's got to be a couple of years ago. And
wow.
I don't go. Even the Joker, I downloaded the film.
I actually saw the Joker in that big, famous ArcLight Cinema place in Hollywood, and it was quite awesome. I mean, I was
Yeah, I mean,
distracted the whole.
well, it's kind of cool if when I do go to a movie, because it's like this surreal experience, like I'm a little kid again, because it's like years between times that I go, so it's like when I go and I'm like, holy shit, you know. So
Yeah.
and maybe like these movies that I think are all fucking gay and pause, like all these superhero movies and stuff like that, which I don't like. Maybe if I saw them on a big screen, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're meant for that, really.
Yeah, if I'm watching them, on my computer or my TV, they don't seem that way. I think there is a movie coming out called 1917 about World War One, and that I think I might go watch on the big screen because that looks pretty cool.
That sounds like something I really meant to see the newest Star Wars movie, and I also meant to see Richard Jewell, but I haven't gotten around to it.
Oh, Richard Jewell, I want to see that. That one I really want to because I remember that when that was all going down.
That's such a sad story. I mean, he finally got redemption, and well, I won't spoiler it, but it's a terribly, terribly tragic story. Yeah. I don't know why people had to make such a political thing out of it. It's a really fucking tragic story.
Yeah, they destroyed this poor man's life, and this was a guy that never hurt a fly, as far as we could tell. But they just
I mean, he's sometimes I wonder if that Paul Blart Mall Cop movie wasn't somewhat based on him.
I never saw that. I know the movie you're speaking about. I never actually saw it.
Remember that? It was goofy and the main character was goofy, but you also empathized with him. And when the Richard Jewell movie came out, I was like, wow, Paul Blart could have been influenced by this.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, when you said Mall Cop, all I could think about was that scene in True Detective, the first season of it, when Harrelson,
don't get me started on True Detective. They ripped off Thomas Ligotti, and you know it. Left and right. Just wholesale lines stolen.
Well, he didn't seem to complain, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's because apparently he A, got paid off, and B, quite possibly got threatened. I asked him about it, but he was either too scared or didn't have time to respond.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to British James about that when you first mentioned that. You're gonna have to send me some links on that, some info on that to research that further, because even though they stole it, I think that was probably my favorite miniseries I've ever seen, because it's basically it was 8 episodes and they were all written and directed by the same people. Like, other
they were great. They were great, and the actors were great. But the guy who basically wrote the thing got paid maybe $5-10 grand for it. So fuck them.
Yeah, well, that's fucked up. If I'd like to see the evidence of. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't really. It doesn't change the fact that it was still great. No matter who wrote it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he fucked up. But anyway, back to what I was saying was the Mall Cop scene was when, what's his name? The blonde guy, Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
When he's trying to get back with his wife and she calls the security on them, and then what's his name shows up, the good looking guy all the chicks like.
I can't remember.
You know what I'm talking about. And,
the guy whose like waist, like whose torso is like 5 times as long as his legs.
I didn't notice that. I didn't check him out. But the guy I'm talking about, what the fuck?
Yeah. McConaughey.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So and then he shows up and he's he's trying to break it up between the security guys, and he goes, no, we're fine. If Mall Cops over here would just leave me the fuck alone. So
that one line struck you more than the entire Paul Blart movie. See, this is how sad Richard Jewell's life is.
Yeah, that's well, because everybody, the security guards, it's like that's basically, let's be honest. I mean, that's that's a bottom of the barrel job.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of doing it, but then I found out that in LA County they get paid like $13 an hour, and rent here is $5,000 a day, so that's not going to work out.
Yeah, I don't even know what's minimum wage in California.
Who fucking knows? I don't think anyone actually gets paid it because, even if you're living 10 people to a house, no one could actually make the federal minimum wage here and not die.
Yeah, well, that's true of pretty much any city.
Yeah.
Unless you're living, in rural, you can get away with like those really low wages if you live in like, someplace
Well,
in
rural anywhere
Iowa.
but California. I mean, it's weird. In California, you can't even get away from the high rent when you're in someplace fucking trashy like Long Beach.
Yeah, but that's not even, that's still.
But small towns are expensive too. I mean, I researched one because I knew someone who had this sort of intense and desperate wish to live in a particular small town in California, and even there it was just outrageous because best weather in the world, I guess. Everyone wants to live here.
Well, all I want is to be able to move to a compound in northern Idaho. That's and I'll be happy.
Great weather there.
And I'm not worried about the weather. I just want that's my compound, and I just want to have it there. I'm gonna build it entirely underground, machine gun turret up top, electrified fence, the whole shebang. Just
defend your potatoes with your life.
Yeah, just leave me alone. That's what I want, and no, any Antifa motherfuckers show up there, just,
Why would Antifa motherfuckers show up in Idaho in the middle of nowhere?
That's where the Nazis are. That's where they go. It's like they're looking for once they purge, like, I got to get the fuck out of Seattle. There was an Antifa protest today here in Seattle. And
what were they protesting? They're in Seattle.
There was some. Well, they always. Well, why do they protest in Portland? I mean, it's just because they need. It's always these fucking white motherfuckers too. It's like, shut the fuck up, they're always talking about privilege and shit like that. It's like, I just want. Oh man.
Yeah, I remember when the Occupy Wall Street protests were going on, and everyone our age was seeing their life savings wiped out and the best work years of their life destroyed, and still nobody I knew could afford to sit around for a week and protest because they had to work or look for a job.
They had fucking rent to pay.
Yeah, and you're wondering, who are these people and what are they complaining about?
Yeah, I don't know I don't know who these people, what they do. I mean, what, I don't know. They just sicken me.
Yeah. Well, apparently everything sickens them, which is why they're so mad.
Yeah, it's cool to be outraged, I guess, now. But anyway, enough of those people. They're
well, then why aren't I cooler? Because I'm always outraged. I mean, I'm outraged by urine on the floor.
No, but you got to be outraged by. You got to be offended by. It has to be like some right wing thing. You have to hate white men.
See, I'm just generally irritable. I hate specific white men who've done things that I dislike, like urinate on the floor.
No, but you have to hate like groups of people, white men and Nazis and people like that.
Wait, I thought that was what they were protesting, is hating groups of people.
Yeah, well, don't try to use logic on these people. They're immune to it.
Am I being old and confused right now?
No, they're just young and confused. So there's no real sense in these people. They're just.
I remember being young and confused. There was a lot of vodka involved. That can be very confusing.
Maybe these people should go have a drink. Maybe they chill the fuck out. I don't know what it seems like they're high on just getting pissed off.
Yeah, I think Doug Stanhope would agree with you. I mean, booze isn't the answer. It ruins a lot of people's lives. But on the other hand, it was at least 10 years ago that Doug Stanhope was doing his routine about how the next generation of kids is going to be the most boring and puritanical one ever, and they're going to be the first generation. And how everybody talks about how, like, ever since Generation X, they've been announcing each generation is the first American generation to do less well financially than their parents. And they're saying it again about the millennials. They're recycling this phrase, and really, the actual new thing is young people being bigger sticks in the mud than their elders.
Yeah, like this is the first generation, this young generation, the first generation to have less sex than the generation before them.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I mean, that's why parents.
That's why they're
in
so
the
angry
30s,
and they can't get laid. That's so
yeah. I mean, that's why parents in the 30s and 40s like took a strap to their kids all the time. You know, like you can complain all you want about the baby boomers and their sexual revolution, but you know, at least they were getting their frustration out. You know, being a swinger might make you a terrible parent in a different way, but at least you're limiting your beating time. I mean, I hope these kids aren't beating their kids when they have kids, but I would suspect some of that energy would go in that direction. Although, I don't know, maybe if it's keeping them from beating their kids, maybe it's a good thing I don't think it's a good thing to hit elderly men in the back of the head with a bicycle iron either.
No, probably not.
Rock. It's not good. Hey, kids, it's not a good idea to hit anyone. You should get drunk and fuck.
Yeah, like get drunk and screw. That's how I spent, my youth.
Don't
hit
old men. Don't hit your kids or any other kids.
Well, I mean, what's going to be really fucked up is one day these people are going to wake up and they're going to be 50, and they're going to have like no good stories of like what they did when they were younger. You know what I mean? It's it's like,
yeah. Can you imagine their grandkids being like, "All right, Grandpa, what did you do when you were young?" and tearing it up? Well, I made a sign that said something I was upset about, and I walked around and threw some rocks. Yeah, but Grandpa,
and my
did you have any
girlfriend was
sex?
polyamorous, but not with me because she said that in my presence she was asexual. So I just spanked it all the time. I was like, oh man, that is so pathetic.
Yeah, it's hard to actually drain the fun out of the sexual revolution, but somehow they've managed.
Yeah, well, I mean, the baby boomers type of people. I mean, a lot of these, you look at these hippie type people back then. I wouldn't really want to fuck like chicks with hairy legs and armpits. I don't know. That's just nasty.
Yeah, nah, not so much. But you smoke enough pot. At least
I liked it. I liked it. Like, I mean, I was a freak in the '90s, but I mean, chicks were very femme back then, and they weren't angry, and like chicks had to look good because it was before like Tinder and all these online dating things where they could go like shopping, like they had to go to bars and stake their claim and shit like that. I mean, women had to compete for men. I mean, it was great. Now, I hear all these horror stories about young guys now, like they totally can't get laid. It's like, man, that sucks.
I've heard of that. It's yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if I would have offed myself if I couldn't have got laid in my 20s. I mean, my dick was always hard. I mean, I just, I don't know what they did. I don't know what they did.
Were you suffering priapism?
Priapism is called.
Priapism. Sorry.
Yeah, I did. I would get laid and that would take care of it. I mean, yeah. I mean, I fucked like a demon in my 20s. I mean, what can I say? I mean, I was,
like a tentacle porn demon, or are you being metaphorical?
I'm being metaphorical.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I just every weekend it was just going out and meeting. And it wasn't just me doing this. This is just everybody in my generation did that. You went out,
But I hope not everybody in our generation remembers only the stinky vaginas.
No,
that would be a crying. That would be a generational tragedy.
When Beckloff says 90s was peak pussy quality, I agree with you, brother. I think you're right there. It's gone downhill ever since because, I mean, you look at, I mean, women were thin back then. I mean, you didn't have all these fat chicks, and there wasn't any of the. And a lot of chicks were experimenting with the bi thing, but they primarily wanted the D. So, I mean, I had threesomes and stuff. It was great. Now, I don't know. It's if you get a chick that's into freaky shit, you don't want to fuck her anyway because she looks like Smugly Puff or worse, Wrigley Puff.
Well, that's a disappointing thing. Like they've taken you know, gender fluidity is a great thing if it ends in a wild threesome, but instead they're taking it in this direction where it ends in, chopping up gay kids' genitals and nobody having any sex at all.
Yeah, I think that all these boys, these young boys who deciding that they want to be girls are doing it because they realize that's the only way they have a chance of possibly getting laid. So, it's like, why do you want to be trans? Like, well, if I'm a guy, I'll never get laid. Look at the odds, the 80-20 rule. Now it's like the 90-10. So, if I'm trans, well, then, someone will fuck me.
You know what? That's a lot more fun than my theory about that. Because my theory about all the trans women is that they're trying to avoid the stigma of being a male.
Yeah, well, that is true. Like, so why do you have men saying they're women and not women saying they're men? It's because you get more. What is it? Social victim points.
Approbation.
Yeah. So one of the things that
basically. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say one of the things that really sickened me was there was this. It had to be a single mother, and she had her kid ask Elizabeth Warren a question at one of her campaign things, and it was like a trans kid, boy saying he's trans or whatever. I mean, come on, and and the mom all proud, using him as like a fucking, oh, look at me, my kid's trans, like it's a fucking show dog or something. And I was just like, this woman should be shot. That's awful.
Yeah, I mean, if there are people who are actually genetically ambiguous as to whether they're male or female, and those people have a genuinely difficult row to hoe. And there are people who feel like they were born into the wrong body, but
it's called mental illness, and it's like people who think that they don't, their right leg shouldn't be, they want it removed. I mean, it's a mental illness. It's a psychiatric condition. It's like, there's people who are born, no one chooses to be a pedophile. They're born that way. And, it's a mental illness. I mean, let's treat it like it is. Don't celebrate it. I mean, yeah, it's fucked up. You're born that way, but it's like,
well, I guess to carry out the analogy, if someone has severe incurable depression and it looks like they might need electroshock therapy can leave you with brain damage, and it can change your brain and your body in unpredictable ways. So you should probably wait until the person is an adult to let them decide whether they want electroshock therapy or not, instead of just giving them electroshock therapy the minute they look sad when they're 3 years old and just shocking their brain until they have brain damage at 16 before they can even make a decision, a real informed decision themselves about it. Like,
no, I agree. Like one of the dangerous things that they do is what they treat these kids with. There's medications, puberty blockers. I mean, they were originally designed for. I don't know if you've ever heard of a condition called precocious adolescence, where kids start to mature too quickly, and
right.
They actually have drugs to stop that until the kid's older. Otherwise, they get all these weird, like brittle bone disease and all sorts of fucked up. So they're giving these kids these puberty blockers, basically, because while you're developing, you can't go back in time and fix that. You know what I mean? If the damage that they do to these kids is permanent. So if the kid, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's child abuse.
Yeah, and it's the more I think about it, the more actually homophobic it sounds. Like, because there's a fine line between treating genuine gender dysphoria and just, like you said, you want your kid to be a show dog. I mean, all parents want that to some extent, but people are latching onto, oh, my little boy is a little bit effeminate. Well, I want to be tolerant in a really showy, yuppie way, so I'm going to convince him that he has gender dysphoria. What if he's just gay? I mean, this is, I don't want to be melodramatic, but everybody throws the genocide word around like it's candy, to mix my metaphors, but it is a little bit weird experimenty on gay kids, in my opinion, to just assume that they all have gender dysphoria because your boy is a little bit girlish. I mean, I was a tomboy. I shudder to think what one of these idiots would have done to my body if they'd latched onto me, you know?
Yeah, that is scary. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's God, it's depressing.
I mean, the human body is so fragile, and there are so many things that are irreversible. Like the other day, I saw a photo of a vet who had, obviously been involved in some serious heat-involved combat mishap, and just his whole head looked like he had been attacked with acid, and he's wearing his military uniform, and then his head is just ruined. And you can't help but choke up a little bit because he's likely a brave person, but everyone has a little bit of vanity, and once you do something like that to the human body, like, you can't grow back a finger when you cut it off, you can't get back all the skin on your head, you can't, like, magically grow a penis once you've chemically stunted your kid from growing a penis. Like, I was just horrified. Like, have you ever heard of Jazz Jenner, another one of the Jenner Kardashian kids? It's a young boy.
Yeah, tell me about. I heard. Yeah, go ahead.
Who, his family decided that coincidentally he was trans. Just wow, I'm down to 5% battery on my phone, so I'd better go inside and plug it in. But oh. This is closed. All right. Hey there. Getting a little chilly. Yeah. Anyway, this poor kid, this freaky family that he belongs to has decided that he is trans because they want him to be trans, and he's gone along with it because he's a kid and kids want to please their family. Well, they've had him on puberty blockers since he was God knows how young and not able to stand up for himself. And so when it comes time to get his gender reassignment surgery, he doesn't have enough of a penis to make a vagina out of.
Oh, gross. That's disgusting.
It's disgusting, and it's fucking sad. And they show this kid going into surgery, making this Twitter post that, if he actually wrote it himself, I'm a monkey's uncle, just saying that this is going to be the most intense challenge of my life. And I'm like, yeah, your parents are disgusting. That's, like you said, that's just the vilest kind of child abuse. That child is not old enough to make that decision,
I agree, yeah.
And I'm the last person on earth to be, hating on gay people. I have dated women. I don't have any squeamishness about sex, but I do have a squeamishness about mutilating children, for God's sake.
Yeah, and I think that, there was a time when majority of people felt that way. Unfortunately, now, we live in this clown world where, anything fucking goes. But we're going to wrap it up soon. I want you to plug Electra's Revenge and tell us more about when we can expect it.
Oh, yeah. We kind of got off topic here, but that's kind of the nature of live streams. Yeah, I actually just published an article on Medium this morning, sort of announcing my progress with the novel. Due to all my other adventures in the past year and a half, including, almost dying a couple of times, but also my computer that I had written an important revision on Electra's Revenge just in the middle of all this frickin' circus that was my life, the hard drive decided to die. And I couldn't find these important revisions I'd done. And anyone who writes knows how frickin' awful it is to lose work that you've done on a piece of fiction.
Right.
You know,
because you did find it. You did find it. I read the piece.
Yeah, I found it this morning after spending literally almost 12 hours yesterday scouring every corner of my Google Drive for this missing file. And I finally found sort of a ghost of my dead computer hiding in a corner. And I, fumbled through that and found, lo and behold, these pages and pages and pages of work I'd done were not gone and forgotten. So like everything snapped into place, and basically all I have to do is line edit from here on out and do some creative stuff that's fun. So I'm thinking it's gonna be about March that this is gonna hit the streets, and it's gonna be a long ass book. So if you want cheap entertainment, I'm not sure what I'm gonna price it at yet, but you're probably gonna be paying about 10 cents an hour for your entertainment out of this thing. And it is a sci-fi epic that it'll please both the socialists and the right-wingers on your Christmas stocking stuffer list, because there's a little bit of misanthropy but love buried in it for everyone.
Yeah, so we can look forward to that, and updates will be coming on that, both on now plug your Twitter again so people can follow you.
It's Ann K. Sturzinger on Twitter.
Okay. And look for there. And do you still your website? Do you still keep up with that? The AnnSturzinger.com, or no? Do you?
That website is so clunky. I got a webmaster, and he kind of lives in San Francisco, so let's just leave it at that. So that's still up, but mostly I'm writing on Medium. I have a publication on Medium that's called You're All Pussies. So just Google You're All Pussies, and that is my personal Medium publication.
Yeah, and
I suppose
you can Google Ann Sturzinger, and she pops up on the web because she has a lot of other works too. The Talkative Corpse, Girl Detective, No Squim. What am I leaving out?
I can't even remember. Disaster Fitness.
Disaster Fitness, yes. Yeah. You can find all of that. That's on Amazon, actually. A lot of people like that Disaster Fitness thing. You got some good reviews on that on Amazon.
Yeah. That it's actually helped some people in their real lives, as opposed to my fiction, which can entertain you, but yeah. It's not going to help you lose 50 pounds, as opposed to Disaster Fitness, which just might.
Right. Get your ass back in shape. Well, anyway, we're going to end it here. It was good talking to you, Ann, live from the Congo. And next time we see her, she will have gotten a haircut, maybe.
I hope.
But anyway, everybody, we're going to end it here. Peace out. Good night.